Welcome back to the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike, and I got my line mate Matt with me. And today, we're going to go over the end of the Blackhawks season. The playoffs are finally starting for, I think it's going to be a great playoff year this year. And we're going to go over the Blackhawks, their percentages for getting the number one draft pick. So to start off, Matt, the Hawks finished the season with an OT loss. It was actually an OT loss thriller because, it was Jonathan Toews' last game. And he scored a goal. They came back late, and he had an opportunity to score that overtime game-winning goal, and it kind of just trickled out. What did you think of that last game for the Hawks?
Yeah, it was all Toews, man. It was all Toews talk, and that OT, when it was almost like destiny, man, that he got that breakaway, and it just didn't go in, and they go back the other way and win. But oh god, that would have been the best ending to any hockey career ever. Yeah, and even if he wasn't on the fence about it, it's like, you know what? After that, I am not going to top that. I'm going to hang him up. But who knows, man? Who knows what the future is for him?
Yeah, he mentioned that. He's like, that he's been undecided, but after the event, after everything that happened on, his last game Thursday night, that he's like, I could see, that's a good way to go out. Apparently he had, Luke Richardson said that, Toews had talked to him, a couple times about retiring and, what, should he do it? What should he do? And Richardson said that he goes, you know what, in professional sports, period, there aren't many guys who get to go out on their own terms. There aren't a lot of guys who are like, okay, I just won the championship. I scored the game-winning goal, and I'm ready to call it a career. He said that, it doesn't happen that way, and that everybody's different, and that, that the choice is his. It's be a good idea just to take some time off, maybe start training in the summer, and then see how your body feels. It's either a hell yeah, I'm coming back next year, or a hell no, but I think that, Toews, he seemed at peace, man. He mentioned some things during his last interview that I really found interesting. He said that, that professional athletes in general have to be a little selfish because in their lives, playing that professional sport, takes like the precedent. They have to watch what they eat. They have to watch how they spend their money. They have to watch who they surround themselves with. A really good example of that is John Morant from the NBA. He was, they're investigating him if he had a gun in a nightclub, and people are asking, why would you do that, man? You've got a huge contract in the NBA, and you're surrounding yourself with people that you shouldn't be surrounding yourself with, trying to be hood or whatever. And to kind of further Jonathan Toews' point, it's like you have to look out, who you're surrounding yourself with. That even includes like women that you date. And he mentioned that he's looking, that he's hasn't been able to have some of those things, those relationships. He hasn't been able to, put family first. He says he'd like to put, someone else first other than himself, and attend family gatherings and things like that. And, he's seeing Kaner, have a kid, maybe that's on the back of his mind. It's like, me, I'd like to have a family myself, but I'm playing hockey and I'm spending even more time dedicating myself to hockey because of, this chronic immune response syndrome that I have. And I can't even, I can't even enjoy playing hockey. So, he mentioned that and that really stood out for me. And, another thing that he said that stood out to me was they were talking about him and Patrick Kane. And he's like, when we came into the league, we had some healthy competition, and we had some very unhealthy competition as well between each other. And I'm happy to see where he's at now. Things got better as they got older, and I could tell when they were younger that, a lot of people thought that they were best friends and shit, and I'm like, that's not the case.
Not at all.
I could see these guys like next to each other and like they're cool, but Kaner was sick of hearing people talk about Toews being, like the guy on the team and that he's the leader and everybody talked about him and he never got in any trouble. He kept his reputation clean. And I'm sure that Toews got tired of hearing how great Patrick Kane is, even though that Toews was I would say the more complete player and, a guy that I would say if I am looking to start a franchise, Sidney Crosby is that guy that you want to start a franchise with. Victor Hedman, you could start a franchise with. Jonathan Toews, Patrice Bergeron is somebody that you could start a franchise with. Patrick Kane, on the other hand, I don't think that he is that guy, even though he would be the franchise player. I don't think that he's the guy that you would start the franchise around. Kucherov, I don't think that he's the guy that you would start the franchise around. McDavid is a guy that you start a franchise around, not Evander Kane. So that being said, I think that these things had a lot of competition between the two. I'm glad that they straightened it out. Clearly over I would say the past 5 to 7 years, probably when they won their second championship, that's when they were really, I would say, became friends. But beforehand, I think that it was definitely a huge competition between the both of them. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, that was well said. Yeah, they're just different players. Kane never really had that responsibility on any of the teams he's been on to play that two-way game.
Right.
He always been told, hey, your offense, man. Earlier in his career, he'd always be cherry picking.
Right.
And I know a lot of kids, you look up to the guy and it's not really the right way to play hockey.
Right.
And I mean, if at the time, we started having kids around the same time, it's like, hey, if I'm getting my kid into hockey, I want him watching Jonathan Toews. Right. I want him playing the game right two ways and being a good leader out there, putting your team first, and behaving off the ice. His image, he was more mature than Kane. And Kane, like you said, he was getting in trouble early in his career. He's on top of the world, being told he's like the man.
I don't blame him though either.
Oh no, it's got to be very tough.
Being a millionaire,
money thrown at you, getting money thrown at you, got women coming at you, and it's Kane was on top of the world, man. And like you said, Toews was always kind of in the shadows, just doing his job. Just like Sidney Crosby, man. How you don't hear anything about that guy off ice,
right?
He's just I guess you just say like a complete gentleman when it comes to all that stuff. And
married to the game.
Married to the Penguins, man. I mean, that guy's put that organization number one before anything. I don't even know if the guy's got a serious girlfriend. I've never heard any rumors of anything.
Yeah.
And I've seen Toews pictures with women and stuff, and maybe it just wasn't serious. And like you said, Kane was just I think he's getting married or married now. By now, I don't know. And he's got his son, and I bet Toews is like, you know what, I'm missing out on that too. I'm getting older. Not that old, but it's older to start having kids. In your late 30s, and it's tough. You're used to a routine, and once you have a kid, everything changes. It's almost like you're starting over too, and you got to adapt to it, and it's not easy when you're older.
He's probably got a 50-year-old, 55-year-old body now. You know?
God, yeah. So I mean, Toews is he is the complete pro, man. If anything, and Kane, I think Kane is really matured after, he had that brutal lock, whatever it was, with the rape, alleged rape case, and that was complete trash from the beginning. And I know that.
It was.
You know what? And it really weighed on him because they had a presser with him, and the poor guy was like bald. He was like stressing, losing hair. It seemed like, and that was trash. And if you listen and read anything on it, it was complete trash and it not called for. And you know what? He got a bad image for that.
He did. I mean, once you say something like that, people will automatically just, whether you're guilty or not, they will just automatically say that you are.
Oh, well, that's America now. And
he was probably Twitter frustrated because he's like, that's so stupid. I knew better than this. I should have vetted out these chicks.
That's the point. He did not surround himself with people he should be surrounded by. I mean, he had, you know, like guys telling, oh, yeah, look at those chicks.
Well, dudes he grew up with, you know?
It's not right, and you know what? That's how it is in this country now. Like you could be labeled and you could be canceled before the facts come out. It's not right, and I applaud Toews for keeping a low profile and being a complete professional. And if this is it for him, I'm glad he's retiring as a Blackhawk. But you know what? If he says, you know what, I got a little bit left in the tank, I want to prove the Blackhawks wrong, like I got a little bit more, and I could see him maybe signing a 1 year like $3 million, $4 million deal on a team he knows that's gonna compete in the playoffs. And
Buffalo.
I'm talking about Taser. They're gonna reunite in Buffalo together. Yeah, man. Yeah. I don't know about Buffalo for Taser. I think he's gonna. I don't know, man. I get a vibe like him and Crosby are tight.
Yeah.
Maybe even Boston because Bergeron and him are tight. But this could be Bergeron's last run.
I think it is.
There too.
I think that his body is starting to. I mean, he's still good, but I think that his body is just starting to, from the wars that he's been in as well.
Wait till the wars they start this week. It's the wars beginning Monday for these guys, and it's if they want to go far. Look at their season record. They proven a point. Like we're the best team in history. We got the most wins, so it's going to be a grind for those guys, and But I kind of see Taser going back to Canada, maybe.
Oh, okay.
He's a Frenchie. He might want to play with Martin St. Louis, maybe a year. Maybe he's going to play for the hometown team.
He's not French.
He's French.
He's from Winnipeg.
He speaks French.
Does he?
Yeah.
Since when?
French. Oh, look it up. He speaks French. Taser speaks French.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
I could see him, going to a big-time Canadian team, but, they're not going to be contending. But maybe the Jets are in the playoffs. I wouldn't want to play in Winnipeg, but, hey, that's his home province, so you never know.
I want him to end it.
I'm being selfish. Retire. I want him to retire and get a job right away with the Hawks and transition into the next job for him.
Sharpie said, he said this years ago, he said that there's nobody more competitive than Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews in practice. He's like, these guys they're very competitive. And he actually said it the other day too. He mentioned that they had a drill that when they would lose games where they would put a goal in a corner and you had to go out in the corner and battle behind it. And they said nobody wanted to go back there with Toews.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to either.
Because they said he was just so strong.
Do you remember when Toews was on like a panel? I think it was at the conventions, and he was talking about Kane getting all mad at him all the time, like you're not hitting me with a good pass and blah blah blah. And they were in Toronto, I think. It was like Hawks were just dominating. It was like 4-0, and Toews gives probably the best pass he's ever seen, and Kane buried it or something, and Kane's like, it's about freaking time you hit me, and they're both yelling at each other on the bench, and I think the player that was in the middle of it, I think it might have been like who was their line mate? It might have been like a Stahlberg, one of those guys, and he's in the middle of it, like, hey guys, we just scored. Can we stop fighting? Type of thing. It actually might have been Sharpie. He's like, will you ladies stop? Like, but yeah, you could tell there was definitely some heat, with these guys. They're competitive, and it's like, it's kind of the two faces of the franchise. It's like, hey, I'm the king right now. No, I'm better than you, blah, blah, blah. But hey, it worked.
And you know what? In some situations, it doesn't. Like guys, they're just like, I can't take it. I can't take it playing with this guy, But look what it did with them. It made them even better. I mean, fuck, they won three Stanley Cups together. I'll tell you what, man, other than, I would probably compare winning a Stanley Cup to probably the Super Bowl on the level of difficulty it is to put together an NFL team to win a Super Bowl. I would probably say it's just as difficult to do that with in the NHL. It's just chemistry and getting the right guys to play with each other, and
it all has to fall into place.
And it all has to fall into place.
And you have to win 4, 8, 12, 16 games to win it, not 4. Right. So it's definitely the hardest trophy to win.
Yeah, it is. And I'm talking about like the makeup of the team because there's just there's a lot more NHL players on the bench than there are basketball players. So it would make it easier for basketball.
Credit Dale Talon. I mean, saw vision. He did it. He it was a no-brainer, obviously, with these picks, Kane and Toews. And I credit him for putting a good product around him, which is more impressive.
God, nobody took. Thank God, Eric Johnson was drafted beforehand.
God,
and thank God they didn't. The Penguins didn't take. Yeah, I was going to say thank God the Penguins didn't take Toews.
Can you
Toews
imagine
and Crosby?
Toews, Crosby, and Malkin on the same team. Letang, Fleury. Those guys were all on the team already.
Yeah.
Toews would have been the last guy. That would have just absolutely amazing. Pittsburgh probably would have won 8 cups, but that didn't work that way. Jordan Stahl's a good player. He is.
And Marian Hossa.
They traded for Hossa.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, man. Pittsburgh and the Hawks were the team of the year. I'd say, the Pittsburgh decade was the 2000s and then the 10s. Pittsburgh was good, man. Yeah. They were good. The Kings, the Hawks, and the Pens, all good.
Yeah.
Great decade.
So, what would you say is your favorite Toews moment?
I have to say obviously the Stanley Cups, but I mean I'm gonna actually go with the goal that he scored against Colorado because I got tickets. I had my season tickets already, but the bank gave us 4 tickets to sit in the 200 level, and the 200 level is awesome. You get good seats, good view. You don't have to wait in line to go take a piss and stuff like that. But anyway, I had the best view of it, and going through 3 guys. Great pass by Kaner, by the way. Got to give him a little props on that. And he just schooled everybody on that team. I've never seen that in a game before where a guy just walked through the whole team.
Right.
And, dude, the United Center wasn't full, but it erupted. And people were just like, wow, we haven't seen that since, like, Tony Amati and Jeremy Roenick days. We were all like, I was stunned. I couldn't believe it.
Right.
And, I mean, I saw a little bit with Havlat before, and nothing like that, though. That was just by a 19-year-old kid. Just insane.
Oh, right.
So that was probably my favorite Toews moment.
You know what? I have a hard time, man. I want to say that Anaheim series, the whole series,
for sure.
Toews was, I mean, he practically, willed the Blackhawks to win that series single-handedly. And I would probably say, I would say game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals against Boston when he scored that goal, because Boston was dominating the Hawks, man. They were dominating the Hawks. The Hawks weren't getting much on them. They weren't getting quality scoring chances. And Toews came in and he scored that goal and it made it 2-1. And from that point, I was like, all right, we've got some life. Yep. And then after that, it's history after that. Hawks won that game. But I want to say that it started from that one goal that Toews scored. And he didn't score many goals that series. That playoffs, I think he only scored 4 goals. And I want to say all of them were game winners, except for that one. And he had a scoring wise, he wasn't doing very well, but he was shutting everybody down. But I would probably say that was one of my favorite Toews moments.
That was a hard series for him. He was playing against Chara, and and then that Red Wings series before that was man, that was crazy. And geez, man, so many good playoff memories with Toews here.
Right.
That St. Louis game too, where he had the breakaway on Ryan Miller and he buried him. OT winner, goodbye Blues. Oh man, that was another good moment.
Yeah, it was.
And I actually have
like I said, he didn't. Like I said, he didn't score many in that playoff series.
That was
the playoffs that year.
Yeah,
but the goals that he scored were huge in that series.
That was the series winner. He buried him.
It was.
You know what, man? I got to give him a little bit. I know it was a loss, but 2011 Game 7
Vancouver
against the Nucks. He ties the game with like a minute 30. I was in my old condo in Orland. Me and my wife were watching. I'm like,
I remember that place.
Yeah, I'm like, Toews is scoring. He's scoring. He always comes up clutch, and the clock's ticking down. I'm like, shoot, I'm wrong, and he gets it and scores. My wife's like, oh my God, you called it. And I'm like, oh, we got a chance here. We were down 3-0, and we got a chance here. And goddamn, Burrows puts it in, and that's the year Crawford, it kind of was his first season as a starter, and he, he turned some heads. He played well, and just a bad play up the glass by Campoli, and and Chris Campoli was he killed us that series. But hey, at least they didn't win. Boston won in the final, so that's all that matters.
Are there any exciting young players in the system and the draft coming up that you think that, as of right now, that we have that you think are going to be full-time guys coming next season?
I think Korchinski, man. I'm the most excited for him. He was Defenseman of the Year. Looked great in the World Juniors. A lot of hype with him. I think he's good enough to play, but who knows if they're going to want to, kind of throw him in the fire and kind of waste a year on him. But I think you got to keep the fans excited. I don't want to see guys like Caleb Jones playing every night. I'd rather see a guy that I know that's going to be a part of the future.
Right.
For me, that would get me excited. And obviously that Frank Nazar, I don't think he'll be ready either.
No, not yet.
But I think Korchinski, I think me and you were talking at the beginning of the season. We're like, dude, this guy can make the team. He's good.
Right.
And, they're probably going to be patient with him, the Reichel approach. But I'm kind of hoping, though, that we see him at some point in the season.
Didn't they pair him up with Alec Regula a lot during the
preseason?
Yeah,
I think he was. And I know he was on the ice when Reichel was on the ice a lot, too.
He's Nolan Allen, yeah. They have a lot of chemistry together. So
they played together in the World Juniors, I think. And Nolan Allen he's kind of more of a stay-at-home guy, but he can fire the puck. I heard his shots unreal, like a bomb. Okay. But hey, man, that's another guy. He might be another year too. But I mean, at some point you got to get the boys up here. You got to get them in some NHL reps, and I would love to see those two paired. Like the future Keith and Siebes type of thing,
right?
Which would be awesome. And then that Del Maestro is supposed to be a really good player. And I know a guy on the Blackhawks bleacher beat writer, Tab. He said that he's got a lot of Sieb leadership qualities. Like he's just like a Brent Seabrook was early in his career and stuff like that. Like the other leader behind Toews type of thing. But that's good, without the good to hear. Yeah, it's good to hear. I mean, we got 3 really good defensemen that, like the guys we just mentioned, that they can be up very soon, and it's going to be fun, man. Building from the back end up, it looks like we're doing.
What about Juju Kyra? Would you want to see him again next year?
No, I wouldn't. It wouldn't bother me either way. I don't really notice him much. I mean, if you need to fill in a roster spot or something, if you want him back, go for it. But I couldn't really care less. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I thought he was okay. I mean, I'm not going to say he was like the heart of the team, but I mean, he seemed to like the type of guy who would stick up for people.
Yeah,
he was a hard worker, and that was another thing Luke Richardson said. He says that we set the bar here of what kind of work ethic we're looking to establish here. We established that bar. These guys know what that is now, and we're going to start bringing people in and essentially setting the example, like, hey, this is how we work here, and that's really important.
Great coach, no doubt about it. He's got a culture he's building, and players seem to be following it and really loving it here, and that's good to hear. If I am going to bring anybody back, probably going to be Stalock, because I heard just the way he plays, he competes, man. He's a gamer,
he does.
And I'd like to see him come back for another year. I think he deserves it with the work he put in this year. Mrazek played okay too. I'm not sure how many years are left on their deals, but at some point you got to get that Drew Commesso up too. He's got to start seeing. Even Soderblom, I thought he had some good games this year too, and he had another couple months in Rockford after. But we got to see what we got, So I'd like to see those guys get some shots too.
Before we go on the rest of the guys that we're looking to see come up, I got to let everybody know that the action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000 and see if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major actions like hockey, they're in the playoffs, baseball, basketball, playoffs are starting, golf, MMA, and more. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Now, what you need to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN, then make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN, only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Now, Matt, I am looking for Ian Mitchell, man. I think that he's a guy that has a lot of potential, and I think he just needs to be an everyday guy so that he can get that experience that he needs. This up, down, leaving him up in the press box, I think that did a lot of harm to him this year. It looked like at the end when, they were talking to Toews, and I've noticed at the end of games, whenever Mitchell comes up, him and Toews seem to be pretty tight, man. And I think that Mitchell has, seen, Toews, the way he carries himself and taken that leadership from being on the Blackhawks, even though that he hasn't been a full-time guy, I would say probably the past 3 years, and he can kind of, I don't want to say carry on, but he knows what Toews was and what it meant to be a Blackhawk. And I think that, that Toews kind of instilled in Mitchell that, a little bit of that. And I'd like to see him get a real good opportunity, an opportunity like I would say Caleb Jones has gotten.
Yeah.
I would say that's fair.
Yeah. I think they might've messed with Mitchell's head too much where he's not going to even want to be a part of this anymore. So it's going to be really tough. I think he's on an expiring deal, right?
I think he is, yeah.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be a restricted free agent. Let me look that up.
I could see him not agreeing to a contract and possibly wanting to be moved. And he might need a change of scenery. I personally like the kid. I think he's, like you said, he can move the puck very well. You need to put him in a situation where he's going to succeed. You can't be putting him with a guy that doesn't play good defense. You need a guy who's got the stay-at-home minded philosophy, what's his name? Isaac Phillips. Yeah. I thought those two would complement each other very well, but
I thought so too.
The coaching staff thinks different, and that's why they're the coaches and we're the fans, I guess. But sometimes you could see it on the ice. You could see it on the TV, though. I mean, Mitchell will take a chance, and Phillips would, bail him out on a play if he pinched too much or something like that. But
right,
I don't know, man. I don't see him coming back though.
Really?
I think
I was actually gonna ask you that specifically. Do you think that he comes back?
I think the Hawks will try to move him if somebody wants him. If not, they'll give him maybe they'll even release him. I don't know what the plan is with him. That's just a Bowman guy. It's not a Davidson guy. And
it'd be such a waste.
I just feel like Davidson wants nothing to do with any of Bowman's stuff. And, obviously he's stuck with Seth Jones, but Seth is a good defenseman and his cap hit's not going to hurt this team. If anything, he's going to help a rebuilding team. I think he's a good player. But going back to these other guys, he's moving them,
Yeah.
We got rid of the cat. We got rid of, Kirby Doc. And who's next?
Kirby Doc was I thought that was a good decision. And considering we got Korchinski for that.
Oh, God. I'm
for
pumped.
that DeBrincat, I thought that was a good idea.
I just can't stand the people from the Canadians' Twitter and some of I'd say 50% of the Hawks' Twitter. When he scores a goal, they have to let everybody know that he scored a goal.
Really?
Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Who cares? Oh, he scored a shootout goal that doesn't count to his stats, and he gives the crowd the Hogan, you can't hear me type of thing. Like, really? Good for you, kid. I mean, I personally, I don't care. I don't care that we traded him. It doesn't hurt me at all. He's a top 6 maybe, but on this team, he didn't do anything for us. It's not going to help. If anything, we got what's his name through. Did we get?
I think we got Nazar for them.
We got Nazar. You're right. Frank Nazar. Hopefully he comes out and scores 30 goals this rookie year, and we can forget about this whole Kirby Dach trade. Like, we were stupid.
Kirby Dach had 58 games played, 14 goals, 24 assists, and 38 points, which is more than his 9 goals, 17 assists, and 26 points he had the year before with the Blackhawks. Now, I think that
that's not bad.
He wasn't developed right, but like this guy's not, and he's getting top line minutes too. His faceoff percentage is a 38.3%. He's a center. Now, they're saying that he's playing more wing in Montreal, but he was drafted as a center, so we wanted him to be a bigger guy, 6'4", at the dot for the Blackhawks, winning faceoffs, and he wasn't doing that. So wingers are dime a dozen, man. You can get a winger anywhere. Heck, what's his name? Let me look at Kachuk's numbers. This is probably better than Doc's. I know that, what's his name? Who else came with Kachuk? I keep on forgetting his name.
Radish?
Man. Yeah, Taylor Radish.
No.
His numbers are better than Kirby Dach.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying we got a couple wingers here. I mean, you can get wingers anywhere.
Oh, Taylor Radish scored 20.
Yeah.
He scored 20 with not a consistent line mate.
Right.
Probably didn't get the same time Kirby Dach got either.
No.
Yeah, they just good when he scores. Just cool. Keep it to yourself. You don't have to let Blackhawks fans know that we screwed up. No, we didn't. We're fine.
Yeah,
we're good.
I'm kind of glad that he's gone. All right, so something I want to go over, man. The brackets, the NHL playoff brackets.
We're finally made it.
Do you want me to go through mine first?
Sure. Yeah, we can compare.
Right. So we've got the matchups are. I'll go West Coast first.
Okay.
Vegas versus the Jets, Oilers versus LA, Avs versus Kraken, Stars versus Wild. Okay, so out of the Vegas versus Jets, I've got Vegas coming out of there.
How many games?
I didn't do games. I just did a total. I'll say 5 or 6 games. Vegas.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I've got Oilers versus LA. I've got LA coming out. I think they're a more complete team.
This is going to be fun. All right.
Yeah, I think a more complete team, and I think that it's just too much for McDavid to kind of carry them through the playoffs. It's just a different monster.
All right.
Avs versus Kraken. I've got the Avs coming out of that. And Stars versus Wild, I think Jason Robertson is going to be, it's his time to shine. I think that he's going to come out of that Avs versus Stars in the next round. Who do you got for your first round?
So this is going to be fun because I am almost the opposite on all except the Dallas series.
Okay.
So I'm giving the edge to the Jets.
Okay.
Just because I think Connor Hellebuck is a way better goalie than like Logan Thompson, even right now, Jonathan Quick. Not right. Jonathan Quick is one of the best American goalies of all time, but he's not Jonathan Quick on the Kings. Yes.
Right.
So I got the Jets in 7. And I have Edmonton in 6.
Okay.
And this is my little sleeper one. I just feel like the Avs, they are very good. Yes. But I think the Kraken are just going to surprise them.
Okay.
And it's going to go 7. But I'm probably wrong, but I'm just going to throw it out there. And I got Dallas in 5.
You know what? About that Avs matchup, I just think that Nathan McKinnon, he had a very, very quiet 100-point season, especially being injured for like 20 games. I think that it was incredible. I just don't think he's going to be denied.
I just want to... I don't know, man. I just feel like Georgiev it's his first playoff series as a starting goalie. I know that the Kraken don't have any experience in the playoffs, but sometimes they don't have like the expectations. There's not much pressure. There's more pressure on the Avs right now because, hey, we're going for a repeat here, and it's harder to repeat. So I'm just gonna I just be fun with it. I'm just gonna go the opposite as you on that one. So I'll say the Kraken in 7. I cannot go against the Dallas Stars though. Against the Wild, I just can't stand the Wild, and I hope Dallas I hope Dallas honestly sweeps them. But I could see it maybe going 5.
You also cannot deny, and you cannot you just cannot take your attention off of the Avs diet, because that could put them over the top there, man, for the versus the Kraken. So for the next round, I've got Vegas versus LA. I think you know why, and I think you know why I want this matchup, because I want to see Jonathan Quick in a Vegas uniform play LA.
Yes.
Some retribution going down there, and I've got Avs versus Stars. What do you got?
So I don't know how this would work if I were to, obviously I picked the Jets and then they would play Edmonton, right? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So I would definitely go with Edmonton winning that series. And then I got Dallas beating the Kraken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For my next round, I've got Vegas versus Avs. I've got the Avs.
The conference final.
In the conference final, right?
Okay. So I got Edmonton and Dallas.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh yeah, it's the battle of the young stars. It seems like,
Okay. Yeah.
And then obviously, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, and I've got the Avs coming out of that.
Okay, and I like
7
I've said,
games.
Probably all podcasts all year long. People listening are probably Matt says the living shit out of Edmonton's going to be in the final. So there's Edmonton in the final for the West.
Okay. And now we got East Coast. I've got Boston versus Florida. I've got Boston coming out of that one, unless Florida somehow finds what they've been missing in the playoffs, the past few years to beat Boston. I don't know.
No.
Or if that President's Trophy curse is going to hit early for Boston. But I've got Boston coming out of that Florida matchup. Toronto versus Tampa. I've got Tampa coming out of that. Carolina versus the Islanders. I've got Carolina. Mm-hmm. And Devils versus Rangers. I've got the Devils.
Jesus, he's doing it. He's going. He's jumping on. Oh, man. All right. So I got Boston in 1. I mean, they're going to beat, I think they can sweep the Panthers in 1 game. I mean, that's how embarrassing this is going to be.
Kachuk has 10 goals. 10 goals and 35 penalty minutes.
Unbelievable. I know. You know what? It could be a very surprising series, but I just think the Bruins are just stacked. They're going to sweep them.
Yeah.
It is going to. Kachuk could be the difference maker, though, man. He could be the guy that says, you know what? We got to play Boston the Kachuk way. Tough and just get in their heads and stuff and make Brad Marchand turn into the rat that he used to be, and it could be good playoff hockey, man. I'm actually going to watch that one very closely.
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. And then I'm a Tampa guy, always have been. I got Tampa in 7 games. Also have Carolina probably in 4.
Okay.
So this one's tough for me too, man. I want that first round draft pick that we got for Kaner. The second round pick, I want it to morph into the 1 if they make the final. So it's still tough. I got the Rangers in 7.
Okay. For the next round, I've got Boston versus Tampa. I've got Boston coming out of that one.
Okay, I got Tampa.
I think it's just too much for Tampa. It's just been too much hockey over like the past 5 years. Yeah. I just think it's too much for them, especially a team like Boston. So I got Boston coming out, and I got Carolina versus the Devils.
Okay. Well, I got Tampa and Boston, and I think Tampa's going to come out on top in 7.
Okay.
And I hate to do it, but I got the Rangers knocking out the Canes in, I'll say 7 again too.
Okay.
And
wow.
So there's our pick. We got our first round pick.
Okay, so you have a
Tampa Ranger series.
Tampa Ranger series. Okay, I've got a Boston Carolina series. I think that Carolina takes that next step this year, man, because they've been solid the past, I would say, 4 years. They haven't been able to find that playoff success. I think that they find it this year. And they finally make a deep run to the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston versus Carolina. Western Conference, I've got Oh yeah, I've got Vegas versus Avs, and in the Stanley Cup final, I have Carolina versus Avs.
Wow. So okay, I
think that President's Trophy. You know that Boston. I always think it's a bad idea to be that great in the regular season, and I think that they're gonna hit the wall.
Okay.
Against Carolina.
Well, I got Tampa and the Oilers. And,
wow.
I'm gonna go Tampa in 7.
Wow.
And you know what? I think McDavid could do it, though. It could go McDavid's way, but I am gonna go Tampa just because Vasilevsky, man, he's the Russian machine. He's the best goalie in the league, the world right now, and I think that in the playoffs he elevates it. And I think when he loses, there was a stat. Remember the next game, he would get a shutout.
I think he broke that though in the last year's playoff.
Still, I mean, he's known for it. He's just knowing get that loss, and he comes out flying the next game. So I think I got Edmonton and the Lightning in the final. Lightning in 7. MVP Vasilevsky.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't get MVPs, but you know what? I think that
you're going to go Teuvo Teravainen.
No, absolutely not.
No, you got Vegas, so you said Vegas is going to win.
I got Carolina versus the Avs.
Oh, I'm sorry. You got the Avs, and you did you say who was going to win?
I got Avs repeating.
You got the Avs repeating, and Nathan McKinnon probably the MVP. Correct? Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. You know, Georgiev could surprise a lot of people, man.
He's got a good team. He's got a good team in front of him. I just playing in front of playing in the playoffs. It's different, man. It's a different animal. So that's interesting, though. I you know what? I like your pick though with the Devils beating knocking out the Rangers. I do like it, but I'm just hoping they make it just so we get that pick just to help us. I'm being selfish.
I got you, man. I just can't see any playoff success for the Rangers with Kaner. I just can't do it, man. I can't.
I'm not a Ranger guy at all. I
think that the Devils they're just like a young team that has been putting it together, and they're firing on all cylinders, and they're taking a step forward towards, becoming a better team, a team that can go deep in the playoffs. The Rangers, on the other hand, they win, they lose. There's dissension in the locker room. They trade, part of their team with Reeves. I think that he was a big locker room guy. I just think that the wheels can fall off for this team at any time. They've had a lot of, on the other hand of that, they've had a lot of, they've had a lot of problems this year that they've been able to overcome. A lot of adversity, and they have come over that adversity. They're kind of coming in hot into the playoffs, which is what you want to do. They got their goalie finding his stride again, because he was having a little bit of rough patch there for a little bit, and they are firing. So it should be interesting. I just think that, Hughes could be, making that contract that he got.
Made me look stupid. Yeah.
Might be an underpaid guy.
Yeah. Hey, I have a true or false question for you.
Yeah.
New Jersey Devils, 2009 Blackhawks, true or false?
False.
False? I kind of see a lot of similarities, dude.
No, I think that the Hawks were more complete at that time. Like the Hawks at that time, they were making waves, and they were pushing, and you're like,
we surprised a lot of teams.
This is a team that you need to look out for.
Yeah.
The Devils are a team that are finding it. I would say 2008, probably Hawks are what the Devils are now. Next year, I think that the Devils could be the 2009 Hawks.
I think they're right there at 2009. I think they just need some more pieces.
Yeah.
But I think they could surprise teams. Like when we made it in 2009, we surprised Calgary. All the experts, they picked the Flames.
Right.
Next series, same thing. Oh, Vancouver's going to win the Cup this year. Vancouver in 5. We surprised them. And then, of course, we run into the dreaded Red Wings, who's been in the playoffs for 21 straight years or whatever it was, and being in the finals. Yeah. And we lost in 5, and they were clearly outmatched.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the Devils
any one of those teams would have been outmatched versus but
I think the Devils could I think that could happen. Like, hey, we could really surprise the hell out of these Rangers, and we can surprise the hell out of the Canes. But say we run into like the Lightning. Like these guys, they're like the Red Wings. They're winning all these cups, and I could see that happening too. And I think it would be really cool. It's funny how the past can kind of bring a lot of similarities to like the new stuff. So
absolutely,
yeah, I think that could absolutely happen.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. This is the playoffs, man. You never know. I mean, you just go look at Seattle can knock out the champs. I mean, they're playing well.
They are.
I didn't think I had these guys finishing last
I
in the Pacific, and they're surprising everybody. So,
oh man,
Vegas too. I mean, I expected Vegas to be up there, but I didn't expect them to be at the top. I thought
playoff ready.
Just crazy, man.
They turned it around quick, man.
The West has been very weird this year. Very weird.
Yeah, it has.
I thought St. Louis would be a part of it, and then the other teams that are at the bottom, like obviously the Hawks and Phoenix, we knew. The Ducks, I thought the Flames and the Vancouver Canucks would be in it for sure, though.
Yeah,
and these other teams just
took turns.
Them. Yeah, just turned fast.
And it's not from bad play from their stars either. Their stars were playing well. They're just losing games.
Just couldn't get it together. They fired Bruce Boudreau, the Canucks, and just couldn't find it, man. They couldn't find it, and they started blaming Daryl Sutter. It's kind of amazing that they were competing that long with all the changes they made. So I give Daryl Sutter a lot of credit.
So to end it, the Blackhawks lottery odds have officially been determined after finishing 30th in the standings. For the number 1 overall pick, they have 11.5% chance of getting that pick. Number 2, they have an 11.5% chance. Number 3, a 7.4% chance. Number 4, a 40.7% chance. And number 5, a 28.8% chance. The lowest that they can go is 5. The highest that they can go is 1. So
going to be interesting. Going to be fun.
It is interesting, man. And I don't know how they couldn't lose a couple more games during the season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But hey, we knocked Pittsburgh out.
Yeah, we did.
And
Calgary too.
We're what's the Step Brothers line when Brendan Huff and Dale are walking into their job interview? Hey, we're here to fuck shit up. And that's what they did.
Yeah, they did.
Screwed it up for 2 teams, and good for them. They played spoilers. It was fun.
Brutal. You got anything else, man?
No, man. I'm pumped for tomorrow, though. Monday night playoffs. I'm excited, dude. This is the best time to be a hockey fan.
It is. Playoff hockey is going to be fun. I'm going to be watching a lot of it this year. Typically, I don't because the Blackhawks aren't in it, and when they are, I watch all of it. So
it's better than baseball right now. Baseball's a little too early for me, and
me too.
I love the playoffs, man, and I'm really looking forward to the East because they're so stacked. These teams, it's crazy that one of the good elite teams are going to get knocked out in the first round.
I'm going to keep an eye on this Oilers Avs. Out of this matchups, I'm going to keep a close eye on is the Toronto versus Tampa.
Yeah, same.
And the Oilers versus Avs are the 2 that I'm really going to be. I'll probably be watching most of those games.
Yeah. You got me on a Kachuk kick, though. I'm kind of curious to see if he can stir it up down in Boston.
Boston, I'll be checking that out, and I will probably try to watch 0% of the Rangers versus Devils.
Well, I have no choice. I'm going to be glued to the Caners first game. He's gonna. He's probably going to turn it up in the playoff Showtime mode, and I'm rooting for him. But I hate New York. I hate everything about New York. I hate it. So, I wouldn't be sad if the Devils knocked him out. But if Kaner wins and they make it to the East Final and they lose, I'm happy too.
Yeah,
I just don't want him to win the cup.
Yeah, definitely not. I couldn't bear it.
Yeah.
All right, man. All right, everybody. That's all that we got for you today. Be sure to check us out on Twitter if you have not, at Chicago Tomahawk, or Tomahawk Chicago. I'm sorry. And we'll catch you on the next one. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.